It's Friday, August 25. In the headlines, JPS bills to be increased. In business news, BOJ projects continued reduction in inflation. Regionally, Caribbean Airlines Limited hopeful to resolve salary negotiations with pilots. Internationally, anger as Fukushima water released into the Pacific. And in sports, Watson mines gold at the World Athletics Championships. In entertainment news, Chris Brown in Jamaica for BZR concert. This is the weekend news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Jamaicans will see an average 1.6% increase in their electricity bills. The Office of Utilities Regulation in a statement explained that it became effective August 9, 2023. JPS had estimated that the proposed 3.2% increase on non-fuel tariff would have a bill impact effect of approximately 0.8% and 0.2% increase for residential and RT40 customers respectively, and a 2.5% reduction in the average rates of commercial and industrial customers. However, the OUR's analysis of JPS's data suggests that the average overall increase for all customer categories would have been about 4.9%. The increase was approved by the OUR following the Office of Utilities review of the 2023 JPS annual tariff adjustment submission. CXC results are out. The Caribbean Examination Council released the results Thursday evening and held a virtual press brief to discuss the details. Delivering the preliminary results in St. Kitts and Nevis, Director of Operations with CXC, Dr. Lisa Manning, said that overall students did well in the various examinations. She said there was over 101,000 subject entry increase for CAPE, and the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate CSEC examination saw 106,000 entries, up from 103,000 entries when compared to 2022.
And so we are seeing a 10,000, over 10,000 actually, a little less than 10,000 increase on the candidate entry, as well as a more significant increase on the subject entry. So this is good news for all of us.
Ms. Manning said in Cape there is a 94% increased passing rate for Caribbean communication, and information technology remains stable.
Information technology, 94%, an increase by 3% over the previous year. And information technology unit 2, stable at 96%.
She explained that CSEC, unlike CAPE, did not see an all-time 3-year high of 92.15%. Instead, CSEC passes averaged a little over 70%.
So for biology, we're seeing a 74%, a repeat of 2021, less than 2022. And the ones are at 19%, something that we have to look at. It's similar to what we were seeing for other sciences. The schools can do a deeper check on that. But for the Caribbean history, this is a plus for us because last year was not so good. And it is something that has been a core interest to CXC. In fact, we had a task force that was created to specifically look at what was happening with history. So this is really heartening to see that 72% and a stable and stability at the grade 1s for the Caribbean history at 13%.
For the CSEC mathematics exam, there was an overall improvement in performance at 43%, up from 37% last year.
Mathematics. You see that big increase on math? You think it needs a standing ovation? No, not yet. But it has improved. So we saw a 6% increase, not what we would have wanted to see. We thought it would have been more, but it has improved. In fact, it was better than 2021 also, and so it is something to note.
Ms. Manning also indicated that the investigation into the leaked mathematics paper 2 in Jamaica in May, for which CXC was forced to adjust its marking scheme using a modified approach, was still ongoing. The National Works Agency, NWA, will be working with the Jamaica Public Service Company to complete works along the Elegant Corridor in St. James. According to a release from the NWA, the work to be executed in the area is aimed at rehabilitating lighting infrastructure. Sections of the corridor from the Lilliput Main Road to the roundabout at Sangster International Airport have been without sufficient lighting for several months. The NWA says under the agreement, a number of other areas will also be targeted for rehabilitation. These include the corporate area, Ligani to Musgrave Road, Harborview East Environs, Dunrobin to Malines Road, Michael Manley Boulevard, among others, which also have issues with insufficient lighting. Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, is warning Jamaicans to be cautious about who they choose as travel agents. Speaking on the Good Morning Minister program on Love 101 FM this week, Minister Johnson-Smith explained that the issue of illegitimate travel agents is part of the reason behind Jamaica not being part of Canada's ETA program.
So they recognize that this type of activity takes place with some of the unauthorized. So they don't accept from any and everybody. So when you use an unauthorized agent, you are likely to be, not only will you be refused just for that, but you are adding up the statistics for Jamaicans who act outside of the system.
So wait.
Plus the number of Jamaicans who overstay, plus the number of Jamaicans who travel on a tourist visa legitimately granted and then seek asylum for some other reason there.
Canada recently expanded its electronic travel authorization ETA program, which eased visa restrictions for several countries. Jamaica was not included. Minister Johnson-Smith says she has been in discussions with Canadian officials regarding the issue.
Because I actually had a formal meeting. Not only did I have an informal discussion with their foreign ministry, but I had asked their High Commissioner to come in to meet with me. I was away when it happened. When I was back in Jamaica, I asked her to come and meet with me, which she did, and asked that they explain.
Teachers and principals will be able to search and apply for job openings online. This as the Ministry of Education and Youth will be launching its Job Bank portal on August 27. Speaking during the Jamaica Teachers Association's 59th annual conference at Royalton Negril Resort in Westmoreland this week, Minister Williams explained that the Job Bank will allow school administrators to post jobs, search for potential candidates, view resumes, shortlist applicants, and communicate with potential candidates. Time now for the extended business report with Danita Rodney.
Welcome to the extended business report. I'm Danita Rodney. The Bank of Jamaica is forecasting continued reduction in domestic inflation during the last quarter of this year and for most of next year. This was disclosed by Governor Richard Bowles during the Central Bank's quarterly monetary policy media briefing earlier this week.
Inflation is forecasted to generally decelerate to the bank's target range of 4 to 6% by the December 2023 quarter, and to remain there for the rest of 2024 except for a few months.
Governor Bowles says the outlook was consistent with commodity prices.
This outlook is consistent with global consensus forecasts for the path of certain commodity prices, as well as the bank's continued tight monetary policy stance.
He continued his presentation by listing elements that could contribute to inflation rising above the projected path.
Inflation could, however, rise above the projected path. Higher than projected future wage adjustments in the context of the tight labor market, second-round effects from the agricultural price inflation, a worsening in supply chain conditions, and an unexpected rise in world prices could put upward pressure on inflation.
A third digital payment wallet provider is expected to enter the market to facilitate transactions utilizing Jamaica's central bank digital currency, CBDC. This was announced during the central bank's quarterly monetary policy press briefing.
I'm happy to say that although we only have one institution that is currently offering Jamdex, and I must big up that institution. They have been doing so for more than a year now, and that is National Commercial Bank. There is another that is complete and ready to roll. They are just doing their testing internally, and I expect that shortly they will come on board. And there is another that is behind that is about to enter the sandbox.
Now for your market updates. In foreign exchange trading for Thursday, August 24, the US dollar sold for an average of $155.59. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $114.65. The pound sterling traded for $196.85, and the euro sold for $172.57. In JSE trading, the JSE index declined by over 3,329 points. The junior market index declined by over 4 points. The combined market index declined by over 3,151 points. And the All Jamaican Composite Index declined by over 1,860 points. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 101 stocks, of which 35 advanced, 51 declined, and 15 traded firm. Stocks advanced for Barita Investments Limited, Blue Power Group Limited, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited. Stocks declined for 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, Access Financial Services Limited, and CAC 2000 Limited. Trading firm were AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, Cargo Handlers Limited, and Epley Limited. The overall volume leaders were QWI Investments Limited with over 2 million units, Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares, and Jamaican Teas Limited with over 1 million units. In regional stocks, in Trinidad and Tobago, Calypso Macro Index Fund was the sole security trading over 1,000 shares. On the Barbados Stock Exchange, Goddard Enterprises Limited was the sole security trading over 170,000 shares. In regional business in Guyana, the governing People's Progressive Party Civic says serious work was done in the last 3 years to reverse the sometimes difficult circumstances citizens face in their bid to establish startup businesses.
General Secretary of the People's Progressive Party Civic, Dr. Barjak Dio, on Thursday told reporters that it is now easier for Guyanese to set up businesses than it was under the former APNU-AFC coalition government. He was directly refuting claims made by opposition leader Aubrey Norton during a recent meeting with Afro-Guyanese on the Essequibo Coast in Region 2.
Once again, the standard mantra that community is dispossessed by the PPP and they're being discriminated against. And it's very hard for Afro-Guyanese to start a business in Guyana. So I agree that it's difficult for people to start business, especially if they've not been in the sector before. But if it's difficult now, it was near impossible under the APNU government that we just had to get rid of.
Jagdio said it is much easier now to start a business in Guyana than it was 3 years ago. To support his assertion, Jagdio reminded reporters of the increases imposed by the APNU-AFC to several registration and licensing fees for small business owners.
They sucked the life out of not just large businesses across Guyana, and you talk to the major producers and they will tell you this, but in which almost every sector of the economy saw a decline, and I'm speaking about the non-oil sector. But they also made it very, very difficult for small business to operate, from increasing registration fees licensing permits, putting taxes on a number of things that small business of necessity.
Budget 2023 highlights the continued government support for the local small business sector, and in a bid to deliver on its promise of creating conducive environment for private sector investment, the government allocated $584.2 million for the Small Business Bureau and the Small Business Development Fund. This is in addition to the extensive range of support in agriculture, tourism, youth-based and women-based initiatives.
In market data for oil prices jumped more than 1% as the dollar firmed ahead of an eagerly awaited speech by the head of the U.S. Federal Reserve for hints on the outlook for interest rates. Brent crude rose 98 cents to $84.34 a barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude was up 92 cents at $79.97. And that was the business report on PBCJ. I'm Danita Rodney. Back to you, Simone.
Thanks, Danita. In regional news, in Trinidad and Tobago, local carrier Caribbean Airlines says it is hopeful of a resolution to salary negotiations with the Trinidad and Tobago Airline Pilots Association. It follows the cancellation of 60 international and domestic flights over the weekend. Sunil Lala reports.
This was very unexpected.
Caribbean Airlines CEO Gavin Madeira confirmed that the airline received a counter proposal for salary negotiations at 2 p.m. on Friday and was surprised when stick-out action was taken.
We were absolutely looking forward to the opportunity to meet and discuss it, and unfortunately we didn't get an opportunity Saturday and Sunday.
He restated that CAL received 20 calls from pilots calling in sick last Friday, 19 on Saturday and 54 on Sunday, causing chaos for passengers and a considerable cost to the airline.
The initial numbers that we have in terms of hotels and putting everything together comes up to approximately 15 million TT. And that's what we've calculated so far. We haven't even considered the opportunity costs and the loss of trust from the customer base.
Mr. Madeira said CAL held discussions with members of the union on Monday evening, where they expressed a commitment to move things forward and confidence in coming to an amicable resolution in the shortest possible time. He said since that meeting, most flights have normalized.
All flights have been restored as of Tuesday the 22nd. What we are still focused on is the restoration for a couple of the North American passengers.
CAL will launch a platform on its website on Friday for refunds and compensation requests, all of which he said would be considered, including those on the local air bridge.
Even if you went on the boat, we are going to refund your plane ticket as well, even if you were transported on the ferry, and we're going to issue a credit to the same amount for future travel for you.
Mr. Madeira also responded to calls for his resignation.
My view is I didn't call sick on Sunday.
Sonolala, TTT News.
Amid Guyana's booming rice production, new markets are being formed, and the latest country to show interest in importing rice from Guyana is Spain. This is according to the country's agriculture minister.
The country's rice industry is expected to flourish in 2023, and according to the Minister of Agriculture, Zulfikar Mustafa, production stands at 50% of the targeted 964,000 tons. And with production on the rise, Guyana can become a supplier for more countries in the European Union.
We are getting additional requests now for new markets, places like Spain and other European countries, because countries that normally produce rice and grain in a large scale would have scaled down in terms of exporting. So they are looking to countries like our country and so.
Last year, Guyana developed a new international market in Lebanon. In a year-end performance review, the Agriculture Ministry said more than 24 tons of packaged white rice was shipped to Lebanon. Though the devastating floods swept across the nation, the rice sector managed to prevail. This year, it is expected that with good weather, farmers will surpass the yearly targets.
And I am hoping that as the first crop went, we are getting favorable weather condition. I am expecting the yield to increase from 5.9 to further up. If that happens, then we'll surpass our target in a larger way, in a further further than what we set ourselves. So I'm hoping that the weather prevail, the weather condition prevail. Reaping has started in some areas already, some region, but in a very small scale. In another 3 weeks from now, the reaping will ramp up, and then we'll see production as a generally.
The minister reminded that key initiatives were undertaken for the development of the industry, including strengthened support to the farmers. Other initiatives include designs of the soil and value-added laboratories, a national monitoring program for paddy bug and red rice management, demonstrations, along with the reintroduction of farmers' field day and soil testing. Reporting for the newsroom, Luzina Yearwood.
In international news, Japan has started releasing treated radioactive water from the devastated Fukushima nuclear power plant, prompting China to announce a ban on all aquatic products from Japan. The entire discharge process is expected to take place as long as 40 years and has been mired in controversy. Al Jazeera's Barnaby Lowe reports.
Filipino activists say it's a catastrophe in the making for a country where millions depend on the seas, and they're warning that Japan's decision could prove costly.
And you're talking about the Philippines, how many days it will arrive? It's almost instant. You don't know the flow of the water. Once you have put it in, it's there.
Assurances by both the Japanese government and the UN's nuclear watchdog that the treated radioactive water being released poses no harm have failed to convince skeptics. In the South Korean capital, police arrested student protesters who stormed the Japanese embassy in Seoul. The South Korean government is urging the Japanese to be open and honest about what's being done.
Our government hopes and urges the Japanese government to continue to transparently and responsibly disclose information throughout the process of discharge that will continue for the next 30 years.
Remarks out of Beijing have not been as measured. China reiterated its opposition by summoning Japan's ambassador.
Such an act blatantly shifts the risk of nuclear pollution to the neighboring countries, including China, and the international community putting its own interests above the long-term well-being of people in the region and around the world. It is extremely selfish and irresponsible.
It's a sentiment shared by Chinese people, especially workers in the seafood industry.
In sports, Jamaica moved up the medal table of the World Athletics Championships to third position. The athletes gained 5 medals on day 6 of the championship. 21-year-old Antonio Watson is the second Jamaican man to win the World Championships 400-meter gold medal. He dug deep in the last 60 meters at the National Athletics Center in Hungary on Thursday, winning with 44.22 seconds. He joined Bertrand Cameron, the first Jamaican to win the event 40 years ago at the first ever staging of the event in Helsinki, Finland. Watson's gold medal performance, like Daniel Williams' performance in the 100 meters hurdles, was unexpected. Daniel Williams won the 100 meters hurdles in a time of 12.43 seconds. Rochelle Clayton won bronze in the women's 400 meters hurdles. Meanwhile, Wayne Pinnock secured silver and Tajay Gale won bronze in the men's long jump final. Two-time national champion Lamara Diston will be the only Jamaican competitor in Sunday's final of the women's high jump at the World Athletics Championships in Hungary. Diston cleared a height of 1.92 meters to advance to the gold medal round, finishing third in Group A qualifications. In other sporting news, national netballer Latanya Wilson says she lost almost everything following Thursday's firebombing of 3 premises at 33, 33 1/4, 33 1/2 Rum Lane. The athlete says the fire took, among other things, the bronze medal she won with the Sunshine Girls at the Netball World Cup tournament earlier this month in Cape Town, South Africa. The fire left roughly 30 people, including more than 13 children, homeless. She's quoted by the Jamaica Observer saying, "I have several different emotions. I am sad, but I am more so grateful that I still have life. It is always a privilege to represent my country, myself, and my family, and the joy from that is unexplainable. This just goes to show that you can be at your highest point in life and the next moment you are at your lowest. End quote. Time now for the entertainment news with Alicia Steele.
Welcome back to PBCJ's E-News, where the entertainment news is always fresh and juicy. I'm your host with the most, Alicia, and I'm here to spice up your day with some sizzling headlines. Get ready to groove as we report on the arrival of Chris Brown for his epic BZR concert in Jamaica, Protégé's upcoming tour, and Shensea's mind-blowing collab performance with the Chainsmokers in LA. Stay tuned for more updates that will make your heart skip a beat. Reports suggest that excitement for the Chris Brown and Friends concert in Jamaica has intensified as the artist arrived in the country on Tuesday. Fans eagerly await the R&B superstar's performance at the National Stadium in Kingston, where he will be joined by several dancehall acts and singer Sean Kingston. Despite initial concerns over the ticket prices, organizers have announced that all 12 Skyview suites have been sold out. A video captured Chris Brown's arrival at the Norman Manley International Airport, where he expressed his gratitude to fans. Take a look.
All right. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Chris.
All right, God bless y'all, man. Thank y'all for having me.
Protégé and his band, The Indignation, are set to tour California, with the reggae singer announcing the event dates on his Instagram account. The tour will commence at Cornerstone Berkeley in Berkeley on Tuesday and conclude at the Music Box in San Diego on August 27. Protégé expressed his excitement to see fans at various locations, having toured California for a Protégé has had several Billboard charting albums, including Ancient Future and The 8-Year Affair. Over the weekend, Jamaican singer Shensea joined the Chainsmokers on stage at Los Angeles State Historic Park to perform their single, My Bad, as part of the first event in a series called The Party Never Ends. The event broke the venue's attendance record with 18,798 patrons present. Shensea wore a US 4500 nude bodysuit from Stella McCartney with white, gold, or silver jewelry, you can say. The Chainsmokers also performed with surprise guests Maluma, 347 Aiden, and Carly Hansen. The event was brought to life by the Chainsmokers, ADP TV, and Insomniac Events, with support from Celsius, Jaja Tequila, Win Nightlife, and NTRL Vodka Seltzer, and Voss. My Bad has 1 million views on YouTube and is currently number 38 on the Billboard Hot Dance Electronic Songs chart. Well, folks, that's the time we have for today's E-News, and we just want to thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, and it's been an honor to bring you entertainment today.
Thanks, Alicia. And that's it for the news on PBCJ. Have a pleasant weekend.